So what are like the pros and cons of instructional? Let's kind of like jump into your reviews on instructional. Obviously, because you do a lot of analysis of high level competition, instructionals, basically anything that has to do with jiu-jitsu and how we can get better at it. What are some of the pros and cons of someone watching an instructional?
Yeah, I would say this has kind of changed over the past, I would say, 6 months for myself. I'd say my answer would have been much different 6 months ago. But now I would say the most beneficial part is probably the beginning where they explain the overview and the kind of concept behind what they're going to show throughout the instructional. And then if you're watching like a Gordon Ryan instructional where they have the rolling footage, I would say the rolling footage, especially when they're talking over the rolling footage and explaining what they're doing, those two aspects are, I think, the most important part. And then when they show you all the like little details and techniques, I would say that's the third most important part, which I think a lot of people kind of just like try and skip right to the fancy techniques that they want to learn and learn all the little details. But I definitely think that is not as important as people say. But at the same time, I also think it is like really important. So like it's kind of like a yeah, it's something I'm still trying to figure out and balance myself. But I was listening to, do you know who Owen O'Flanagan is?
I do not.
Gotcha. Shout out Owen. He's gotcha. He's a grappler out of London. But he has a podcast and he has a leg lock instructional as well. And I don't remember the exact phrase, and I'm kind of waiting to use it in one of my YouTube videos. I wrote it down, so I was going to like rewatch it before I used it. But like the basic theme behind it is I don't remember how it came up, but basically someone was asking him a question, like a very detailed question about what he showed in his leg lock instructional. And he was like, to be honest, I do it differently now. Like it's not like the same. So I think like if you watch a Gordon Ryan instructional or a Danaher instructional and you're so focused on like the right hand goes here and the left hand goes here, I think it's great and it will probably be better than what you were doing previously. But it's not necessarily the most optimal way, and they're probably doing it differently now, kind of thing. So I think that's important to keep in mind, that the little details you're going to improve over time, and you're probably going to do it differently a year from now than you're doing right now. But the overall theme and game plan is probably going to change less often, if that makes sense. So that's why I think the order of importance is the way I structured it.
So what about some cons? Like who should and shouldn't be watching instructionals?
Man, that's a good question. I can't think of a person who shouldn't be watching an instructional, to be honest. At least from my seat, I have like instructionals blew my mind and opened up a whole nother world for me. So just even if like it's a day one beginner and they're interested in watching instruction, it's not like necessarily the best content or whatever, I still think it shows that they're like willing to learn and excited about it. And why would you try and like put that flame out kind of thing? So, and then if you're advanced, like you're just looking for different ways of doing things and you can filter through things that you like and dislike. So, from beginner people to advanced people, off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone who shouldn't be watching instructionals or like match footage. Like if you're legitimately trying to get better at jiu-jitsu, I feel like you should be watching competition footage and trying to compare it with instructionals.